Seattle Mariners stud reliever Paul Sewald joining us. We're excited to have him throughout the season. And happy opening day to you, Paul. Excitement level for you right now as you guys play later?
I appreciate it. Yeah, the excitement level is pretty high. Everyone, you guys know that opening day feelings is pretty special. You get introduced, and it's going to be fun to be in front of the home crowd. They're still buzzing from last October.
What's the temperature in Seattle today? What's the weather?
It's not terrible. It's low 50s. It's there's a little bit of sunshine. We're actually going to have the roof open tonight. It's going to be nice. That's a nice March 30th Seattle day.
For sure, because we played there when I was with Texas one time, and we got snow, and the roof was open, and they didn't close it in time. We had to wait because the snow was coming down. The coldest game in Safeco history. It was like 25 degrees. They're like, oh, we got a roof, except it was open, and then it started flurrying, and they're like, wait, hold time out. Let's close the roof. So be ready, Paul.
Even when it's closed, it gets the bullpen. So we get rained on whether we have the roof closed or not. So I'm kind of used to it at this point.
Yeah, let's go, Mariners. Put a little window up there to keep the rain from blowing in on these guys.
He's got playoff money. Come on. Give Paul some protection over there.
Paul, tell us about the Mariners bullpen. You're at the back end of it. Are you officially the closer? Do we know this? Has Scott Service announced this yet?
We do not have official closers in Seattle. We have 8 high leverage relievers, and we're going to switch everybody out, and everybody's going to pitch. And we feel like that's been the recipe to our success the last 2 years. And Mooney's going to get some. Brash is probably going to get some. I'm going to get a lot. But we're going to pass them around, and we're going to make sure that everybody's fresh so that in October, everybody, nobody's gassed. And, that's just the way we do it. We try to match up to make sure that, Mooney has whoever he's supposed to have. I have whoever I'm supposed to have. And, if that's the best matchup to make sure we win, then that's what we're going to go with.
They tell you that before?
Yeah. So that's a communication thing. That's from the second we get there in spring training to the last game of the year. And in between, we go into this series against Cleveland. It's like, hey, Paul, this is really where we think your best pocket is. Here's Mooney. This is where we think your best pocket is. Fest, Diego, all those guys. And we just go down the list. And so, they're very detailed in making sure that they let us know, hey, this is where we really see you pitching tonight, tomorrow, the rest of the series.
Do you get pissed when you see those lists and you're like, wait, what? Like, you don't think I can get Altuve and Bregman out? Like, you got me getting a 7, 8, 9 guy, or is it not? You don't get your ego into it.
Well, Kratzy, I've never have 7, 8, 9. It's always 1 to 5. So my ego doesn't get in the way because they're like,
wow.
Hey, this is who you're going to face every time. So
that's what I'm talking about. That's what I wanted to hear.
That's one of the things about that's how we've established our bullpen is. We kind of joke, but 8 high leverage guys will honestly give us the best ability to say like, hey, like. We're not going to pitch you 3 days in a row. Mooney's still so young. It's like, hey, we're not going to pitch you back to back, right out of the gate. You're just coming off a long season, your first long season. If we feel like we have multiple guys that can get people out in those big leverage spots, I think we can keep everybody rested and keep everybody fresh. That'll keep everybody at the best they can possibly be. So Mooney's going to get some, Brash is going to get some. I'm going to get a bunch. Like, hopefully we had our 162 saves and we got to pass them around.
Paul.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, my bad, Jonesy. I had a quick one on that, Paul. Like, you were talking about staying healthy, do you feel like that's because of you passing around high leverage situations, or do you feel like that's George Kirby going 7 instead of going 5 and dive with his 10 punchies?
Yeah, well, I like to say our bullpen's the best in baseball because our starters are some of the best in baseball. And so we do a lot of relaxing for the first 6 innings and only have to throw 7, 8, 9. That's kind of what makes our bullpen so great is that we don't throw a lot of the 4th and 5th innings. When you go from Castillo to Robbie to Logan to George to Marco, it's like, yeah, you get to relax for most of the game. And then we kind of turn it on for 7, 8, 9. So it definitely helps when guys are going 7.
Well, Kratzy stole my question, but it doesn't matter. I got more than one. Does it still smell like garlic fries out there in the bullpen? Because I remember being in center just like, oh, man, I missed that. And the expectations going into this year, obviously tonight's going to be going nuts. Seattle has not been in the playoffs since 2001. It's the atmosphere is definitely changing in Seattle. The culture of baseball is changing in Seattle. And explain that to us.
First and foremost,
I started there, so I remember it was trash.
Still smells like burgers and fries out there, especially with and then the worst part is the DJ like blasting music. We can't hear anybody's walkouts, anything that's going on. The DJ's so loud. I bet you could have heard it in center. But yeah, expectations is a word that we're going to get thrown around a lot this year. That's what happens when you win 90 games back-to-back seasons, and then you go to the playoffs, and instead of talking about, oh, you guys haven't been to the playoffs in 21 years, it's like, well, you won the AL wildcard series. Now what are your expectations? And the biggest thing that we're going to have, that's the biggest thing we're probably going to have to handle, is that like outside expectations can't be, it's just noise for us. And we just have to focus on getting better every single day. We have our own standard and our own expectations in the clubhouse. And that's, to grind every single inning, but every single game for 162. And if we do that, I think the expectations, the win totals, that stuff's going to take care of itself, and we're going to be playing in October.
Paul, you were on this team last year when you guys cracked the playoffs for the first time in a long time. Is this team better, this year's version of the Seattle Mariners? You guys made some nice offseason moves. Like, put your GM hat on for a second and give me the evaluation.
Well, Scott, I'm a bullpen pitcher, so I always have my GM hat on. That's what we do.
That's true. That's true.
That is facts.
So, but yeah, no, I truly, I think our team is better than we were last year. And that's a testament to Jerry and Justin and everybody, trying to make these moves to make our team better. I don't think we had to get significantly better. We didn't need to sign 3 free agents for $200 million to get better. I just think, we just needed to make incremental moves, and they did a great job of that. And, you put Teo in the middle of our lineup, Colton Wong at second base, AJ Pollock, Tommy Lasso. Like, we're a little bit better than we were last year. And, frankly, we weren't that far off from being where we wanted to get. We got swept by Houston in the playoffs, but anybody who watches games knows that, we were one swing of the bat or one pitch in all 3 of those games from winning all 3 of those games, let alone losing. And, I think we have a great shot at doing the same thing, kind of getting into the playoffs and see what happens.
Now, there's a lot of people that don't really know your story, and I think we'll get into it throughout the year. But you didn't make the big leagues till you were 27, okay? And then you were a minor league signing. You got called up in May. Am I remembering that right? You absolutely struck out the entire AL West in 2021. One of the questions we always ask here. Now, you signed for $4+ million this year. What was the first thing you and your wife did when you got that contract? Because I know you signed for $1,000 out of college, another $1,000 sign. Let's go.
Yep. Well, we bought a new house in the off season. So that was kind of like, all right, like now that we have a little bit extra spending money, like how much nicer can we make this house? So I guess I would say the first thing that we bought with that was the landscaping contract that we had. So making sure we got rid of the dirt in the backyard and got some landscaping. That's the biggest thing that we bought.
You celebrated with landscaping?
Yeah.
Like, no, Sewald, I'm looking for, hey, we hit the town, pop bottles, brought the whole fam, whatever it is. There was no like big party or celebration too on the side. You got landscaping?
Hey, that's what we needed. That's what we needed. Molly and I are not those kinds of people who know celebrating. We did a really fun dinner last year when I got my first real guaranteed contract. We had a bunch of family and friends come in Phoenix, either came from Phoenix or whatever, and we had dinner at Mastro's and really did it. That was kind of like the first one, and then we're hoping to have a lot more of these contracts, so we don't need to celebrate every single one of them.
No, celebrate them all.
Yeah, true. Paul, you live in Phoenix now?
Vegas, born and raised in Vegas.
You still live in Vegas?
Yep.
You went to Bishop Gorman High School, right? Gales?
You know it.
Yeah. Instead of buying landscaping, could you have gotten a full turf field for them? All you big leaguers chip in. They only have the infield turf. Can we get the full turf at Bishop Gorman? They have a college football stadium for their football team. They got a NBA gym, and then their baseball field is only half turf, and the foul lines like run down the bullpens. Come on, we got to do better than this.
The Fertitta family didn't play baseball. That's why the football stadium looks like that's the way it goes. They played football. That's why that place looks like a D1 football stadium.
Paul asked you just in terms of money, not your money. But,
Adam, you sound like a robot, dude. I don't know if Paul's going to be able to hear you. Paul, do you hear me?
Man.
I got you, Adam. Go ahead.
All right, but we're talking about the minor leagues now. They got a big settlement today in terms of pay increase. You should sign the minors. We all got friends who are journeying into the minors. How do you feel about that?
I feel good about it. There was a stigma that once you got to the major leagues, it was, well, I'm in the major leagues, I don't need to really worry about the minor leagues, which you guys all understand, and I kind of understand a little bit myself. Like, well, I grinded, like they can grind too, but I just think about like the mental struggle of not having any money to pay for the apartment that we lived in. It was like half a paycheck went to just trying to live somewhere and trying to make sure you have some food. And I'm just super excited that we are going to try and fix that. And just think about what you could have done with a little bit extra cash in your pocket when you're a minor leaguer. Making sure that your supplementation is great, making sure your hydration is well, getting a real mattress instead of an air mattress or whatever you could find at Walmart for as cheap as you could possibly get. And hopefully these guys can perform a little bit better because they have the money to try and make sure that they have everything that they need. So it was a grind through the minor leagues, but I'm glad we're trying to fix that stigma and let's make sure these guys are an investment. That's your next wave of major leaguers. We don't want them to have to grind and barely make it through or get injured. What's the worst case scenario is get injured in the minor leagues before you can get to the big leagues. So I'm excited. I'm excited that we're going to try and make sure that these minor leaguers are a true investment into our major league team.
Good. Tell everybody in the union. Tell it. You're a big timer now. You're the closer. You're the one through five in the order. Tell me about playing in AAA in your hometown. Did that suck or was that awesome?
Well, it's a tough place to pitch. So,
but you did
great.
Numbers
were fantastic there. But pitching at home was very, very cool. It was exciting. I hadn't been there in quite a few years, obviously, since I left high school, and it was fun to have family, friends able to come to the games. It was, I was closing in AAA too, and my parents and my fiance at the time would kind of just figure out all right, is he going to pitch? They would come to the game in the sixth inning if I was going to pitch, or they would just stay at home because it was about a 20-minute drive down to Cashman. So it was fun for everybody to kind of get that situation together. And speaking of money, it was nice to live at home where I didn't have to spend any money on living situations. So that was pretty nice when I was barely scraping by.
Paul, explain your velocity uptick and then the founding of your slider, because I read an article about how you always had them, you just didn't know how to use them. And then a coach, I think in AAA, came to you and said, hey, let's try a little bit different sequencing. Can you tell that to our listeners?
Yeah. So, I've always had below average velocity when I was in high school, college, minor leagues. And you guys know, especially in your day, it was all right, if you have below average velocity, make sure you throw the ball down and away and try and get ground balls. So that was what I was taught for the last 25 years. That's what I was trying to do. And, it's always about trying to get two plane depth on your slider or your breaking ball. Make sure it's two plane. You don't want it just going side to side. So that's what I was trying to do my whole life. And, then I get non-tendered by New York and and then Seattle reaches out and they said, we'd like to sign you. Here's what we think you should do. We need you to throw the ball up in the zone every pitch and try and only sweep the slider. Don't worry about getting depth on it. And I was like, all right, I might as well take a chance. I haven't been producing nearly as well as I would like to in AAA or in the big leagues in New York. So I said, I'll give it a try. Let's see what can happen. And pretty much overnight, I could figure out how to throw the slider, with total sweep. And it really worked really well in spring training that year in 21. But I just couldn't figure out how to throw the ball up in the zone. Instead of throwing it at the knees, I kept throwing it right down the middle and just getting whacked in camp. And I was like, all right, I don't know. This is just a complete adjustment for me since, I've never tried to throw the ball up in the zone. And we went to the alt site. I didn't make the team in 21. We went to the alt site and we're kind of trying to work on stuff. And we're trying to get almost trying to get under the baseball instead of on top of the baseball. Just total 180 from what they've taught pitchers to do forever. But I'm trying to make an adjustment. And we just had the catcher literally stand up in the middle of our inner squad. He just was standing and I just kept peppering the top of the zone. And it finally clicked and we kind of moved the catcher back down to a normal catching squat. And, I haven't looked back. It's worked ever since. And it was a 180 in my career and a 180 in the type of things that I need to do. But I'm forever grateful for everybody in the Mariners organization that helped me get through that.
You're throwing the sweeper. Have you seen a Yankees game on Yes Network? In the box, it says sweeper instead of slider. Yep. So you were meant to pitch for the Yankees. Maybe they'll give you. I know you love Seattle, but the Yankees, they're not afraid to put the money out there. You should, they're throwing sweepers.
They might put that on the Seattle broadcast though.
That's true. Sewald in with the sweeper.
We ought to do that. We have 6 sweepers down there in the pen. It would be smart if we started doing risers and sweepers instead of fastballs and sliders.
I like it. Reinvent the game. Why not? Let's start now.
Exactly. It's a little bit different than when you started, AJ, but it's all the same stuff. It's still about locating every time. That's what I try to tell people is that it's for me, the most important thing is throwing the ball up in the zone. My locations are different, but I still have to locate better than the hitter can hit. That's just what it comes down to.
What's first, location or velocity? Obviously you learned location and then you had to learn location with the extreme velocity, but what is it?
I would say it's still location. Like, doesn't matter. Like, these guys whack 100-mile-an-hour fastballs. I don't know how they do it, but they do it. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. I have 9 at-bats, and, like, that ball looks like a golf ball coming in there. But these guys can whack 100-mile-an-hour fastballs. You're throwing in 2-0, 2-1, 3-1 counts. So the velocity helps. It definitely helps. But if you don't locate your pitches and get ahead, like, it doesn't matter how good your shit is. It's for sure.
Hey, Paul, when you look back, I mean, you spent a lot of time with the Mets, and it really has clicked now with the Mariners. We have scheduling set up that every team will face every other team. Are you excited for the new, more balanced schedule so that you can play against a former squad and be like, look at me now?
Yeah, so I got to do that last year, and I might have taken it a step too far. But it was an emotional weekend going back there, seeing everybody. I was very thankful for my 4 years in New York. I don't think they went nearly as well as everyone had hoped. I thought how I was treated at times was a little bit unfortunate, but I'm forever thankful for the 4 years that they drafted me, developed me, pulled me up. I got 4 years there. Like, I'm forever thankful for the Mets, but it was very nice going back there and shutting them down, especially winning the series against those guys.
What was the step too far?
Yeah.
What'd you do? What did you double bird them when you walked off the field? What'd you do?
Wink. That was Wink that did that. For me, I just hit him with the shush after I went a 1-2-3. After they started booing me after I got through that last inning on Sunday. And then they were really not happy with me. But that's all right. We won the series. It doesn't really matter to me.
That's not too far.
No, that's right on point.
Yeah.
Maybe not far enough. Those dudes squandered half your career, and they didn't tell you what the Mariners took to tell you in what, a month and a half?
Yes. Nah. Yeah. I am a little bit, obviously I'm a little upset that it took 4 years to do it, but it finally happened. And so I'm thankful for Seattle, and, New York they're doing fine. They're doing fine. And I'm glad to be across the country and not in their division and not really worry about it for the most part.
They actually miss Paul quite a bit right now. I mean,
yeah,
Diaz is out for the year. I'm just saying, it's a tough loss. Mets fans and Verlander's now on the IL, which just released in the last 30 minutes.
Oh, yeah. Well, the Sugar thing is it's heartbreaking. And I came on when you guys were talking about it, and it's it kills me because he's literally the best guy ever. And I'm so excited that he got the contract he deserved. The Timmy Trumpets thing. I remember when he came out to that in 2020 when we had no fans, and it was like, dude, this song is so electric. If we ever get anybody in the stands again, this will be great. And, everybody, whether you're playing the Mets or not, he got a save against us in the middle game in that series. And I was warming up to go in the bottom of the ninth if we had one. And I was kind of like, this is getting me pretty jacked up. It was pretty fun to watch that.
Yeah, it's goosebumps when you're at City and it's rocking, and then you hear that. So I agree.
Wait, Paul, what's your song?
Oh yeah, what's your song?
I want to know, what's your song?
Jump Around by House of Pain.
I like it. Okay.
It's a good one.
Go ahead.
No, we have our reliever group is called the Los Bomberos, so it's Spanish for the firemen, to put out the fires. And they have a pretty good little intro for all of us where they turn off all the lights in the stadium. They put a spotlight on us as we walk down the ramp, and they come out. They get the fire flames on every single scoreboard. Seattle does it pretty good. They do it pretty nice.
Now, could you ever take an ex-closer? Because you are the closer. You're on this show. You're the closer. There's no doubt about it. But would you ever take an let's say, Hall of Fame closer song?
I think there's lots of songs that are available. I would say Hell's Bells is not available, and Enter Sandman are those are off limits for anything.
Yes, thank you.
Thank
you. We had Ryan Helsley on, and he comes out to Hell's Bells, and I said, it's copyright infringement. That's Trevor Hoffman's song forever. Stop it.
Yeah, I think those two guys, they more than have that intro, done. I feel like those two are off limits. About anybody else, this is pretty much fair game, in my opinion, as a reliever. Trevor and Mariano, those are pretty unique. I mean, think about it, Kratzy. Would you, how many closers walkouts do you know, other than those two?
Right, not from
those two for a
Timmy Trumpets now.
Yeah,
and Timmy Trumpets, yes. But
now we know Jump Around.
Yes, there you go. I mean, but those are the two. You can't steal those two. In my opinion, I think those are off limits.
Fair. Well, next time we have Ryan.
We're gonna start running a poll.
What?
We're gonna start running. We're gonna ask every guest,
especially
reliever guest. We're gonna ask them, can you steal Hell's Bells?
So question
2-1 because my vote counts also. So it's 2-1 right now. No.
The question I want to know is, and I hope this becomes a segment, can you spell Pierzynski?
AJ.
Thank you.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it.
That's
great.
it. That's perfect.
You know what?
That's how I spelled my name in school. That's why I didn't go to college. I just put A and J. That was it.
I'll remember the next time I come on, I will make sure that I know exactly how to spell it.
That Bishop Gorman high school education's coming through. Thank you.
Finally.
Hey, Paul, this was awesome, man. We really appreciate you coming on, and we're excited to have you throughout the season. Have an awesome opening day out there. It's going to be wild, and don't get rained on, okay?
Nah, that's what the roof's for. But I appreciate it, boys. This is going to be fun all year. I can't wait to come back on. We'll see you guys soon.